Hey guys, I want to make this video, and I want to share me sharing my testimony of joining the LDS Church, aka the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the real name for it. Most people just say like the LDS Church, or some people say the Mormon Church, which is wrong. But because that's not what it is. It's not what it's called. That's what some people call it, but that's not what it's really called. But anyway, I wanted to take some time to make this video, and I don't have enough time to make a really long one. But I want to make one we'll see how long this one is. I'm shooting for like an hour, but we'll see how long it goes, But anyway, yeah, my name's Justin, and I'm 35. I'll be 36 this year in May. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about like how I got to this point now, how I joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and what that's been like, and how I decided to get to this point. Well, I didn't just decide to get to this point. I made certain decisions, and my life also just kind of like went certain ways, and so there's a story of how I got to this point. And because I grew up as a Christian, as a Christian, and we weren't Catholic, we weren't Latter-day Saint, which a lot of people don't even consider Latter-day Saints Christians, which is unfortunate. But we grew up Protestant, basically. My dad's side was more so like on the Baptist side. They went to a Baptist church, and that's just where they happened to go, but they did believe what they were being taught and everything. And my mom's side was more so like on the Wesleyan side, and so yeah, nothing too crazy there. Some crazy things, I found some crazy things out later. But nobody's perfect, and no denomination is perfect. Even the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has things that we can do better, of course. But things are the way they are for a certain reason, and there's always the call for people to do what God wants them to do, what He's called them to do, and it's a matter of, are you going to do it or not? That's kind of how I feel about it. And so there's always progress to be made, always things to improve. But there are also some really deep, dark, bad, tragic lies in a lot of doctrines that unfortunately cause a lot of problems, because people end up believing them and they base their lives around it. Sola Scriptura is one of them. Like, the Bible is the only is the Word of God. And what does the Word of God even mean? You have to unpack that, because people use phrases, but what does it actually mean? So that's another thing. But anyway, I don't want to go off topic. I just want to start. So I grew up going to church. I would go to church with my grandparents, to the Baptist church, and I loved it. I felt very at home. I felt very secure. I felt very safe, secure, and loved, basically. Mostly safe and loved growing up, despite things I'd been through, divorce and abusive stepdad and things like that. But so I would go to church with my mom's side sometimes too, and when I got to be like maybe 9 or 10 or so, I remember I would go to church with my mom and my brother and sister, and it was all we could do to behave. We had to behave, and be quiet through church service, and so it was always interesting. And we would go to Bible school sometimes, and vacation Bible school in the summertime, and we go to Sunday school, and they had this thing called Joy Bells, which is a thing on Wednesday night for kids. We go to that sometimes, and I like that. And speaking of Joy Bells, I have a moment. Something happened then, and I'm so there. I'm so excited. I have to say this real quick. So there have been a couple moments in my life where I've had moments of ding, ding, ding. I've had a very, very strong original thought, or a very strong occurring thought, let's just say, or something occurred to me that just seemed to be like, what? You know? And I've had like 2 of those specifically that I remember that happened to me when I was a kid. That now I know why I had those, and it was because it was my radar going off in the presence of something that wasn't true and something that was wrong. And I will get to those points. I will get to those 3 things. I'll share them along this journey here, along this video. But which I'm really excited to be doing this, by the way. I have nothing to do right now, time to kill. So I've been wanting to make a long testimony video, but this one's gonna be not as long as my original one. I was gonna do like 3 hours, like I said. So well, I was just thinking, my cousin who's joining the seminary in the Catholic Church, he shared a video with me, Pints with Aquinas or something like that. It's like some kind of Catholic YouTube channel, which is pretty cool, but I'm not a Catholic and I don't espouse Catholicism. And so it's like, yeah, okay, I could watch a little bit of it, I guess, and see what the interest is. I'll see if it's appropriate for me to watch this, and just watch it, I guess. I'll check it out. And then they're having like conversations, long form conversations, and they're like 3 hours. And I'm like, if they can sit here and have a conversation for 3 hours, people watch the stuff, they eat it right up, I can share my testimony for 3 hours. That's a big deal. That would be, I feel like that would finally be me getting everything out. It still wouldn't be getting everything out. I'd be getting a lot out, but still. I'm so uncomfortable. My body is kind of bugging me. And my body's kind of achy, and I got like a headache kind of, but getting over being sick, But so pardon me if I blow my nose in the middle of this. But anyway, so I grew up, and my parents were divorced when I was young, when I was 2. So I ended up bebopping back and forth to church with my mom Rose on my dad's side, and church with my mom, and sometimes Mama Rena on my mom's side. And so Wesleyan Baptist. And then when I started getting older, things started changing a little bit. My dad he got serious about his faith again because he lost his job. He got laid off. He lost his job and had kind of a faith crisis because he was struggling with his job and unemployment. So he started reading his Bible. I was going to say he started reading the Book of Mormon. I wish he started reading the Book of Mormon. But no. So he started reading his Bible, and eventually he found a job while he was reading the Book of Job, which is pretty funny. But anyway, this led to him taking church a lot more seriously, especially once he moved home. He was living in Pennsylvania at the time. This is when I was a preteen and stuff like that. Tough time when my dad living so far away from home and not seeing him that much. That was hard. But when he moved back, he started going to this non-denominational church. And before then, I hadn't really been to any non-denominational churches. Now, my mom always kept us around church to some extent. We always had some kind of church. We were always connected to church, somehow. Through some function. It was always a part of our life, basically. And not that this whole non-denominational thing is such a groundbreaking thing, but it just kind of was. Now my dad's going to this non-denominational church, and for some reason it just felt more free, I guess, or something like that. The Baptist church I went to when I was little with my grandparents was very matter of fact. It wasn't like beat you down with verses in the Bible like some churches do, and some I've been to some churches where I've gotten some kind of harsh stuff like that, and it's not very fun. They say, well, we're going to sit here and tell you. And, and they try to tell you. They say, I'm going to tell you, and I'm telling you right now, and they say that they say like that's the way it's gonna be, and they say this is the way we fix things. This is the way we fix the world. And this is the way we lead people to Jesus and everything. So it's interesting. People are interesting. Church is interesting. Denominations are interesting. So I'm a teenager at this point. My dad is going to this non-denominational church. I start going there with him, and I start liking it. I really like the pastor. Really cool guy. Really, I mean, honestly, he was a really. I still love it. I still love this man so much. And the only thing is I would not get in a theological debate with him because I love him too much. But there's a lot that I don't agree with him with, I know, because he's obviously not a Latter-day Saint, and so he believes a lot of things and believes against a lot of things. But I really liked him a lot. I still do. I love him, Pastor Nathan. He's not a pastor there anymore. I don't think he's a pastor anymore necessarily, but he's doing some other things. He's still strong in his faith, but love that guy. And there was a lot of other kids there, teenagers my age, and it was such a natural fit. It just felt like, yes, this is awesome. This is what's up. I was a teenager. I was in high school. I had just gotten my car. I was driving. I could drive to church. I could drive to school. I could drive to work. I had a job, all this stuff. Figuring out who I was as a young adult and all this stuff, Great stuff. And on my mom's side, it was just like, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, we went to a youth group on my mom's side to an evangelistic church, Talbot Evangelistic Church, and that was cool. There were also other people there, other kids there that were cool, and I liked there too. Had a lot of fun, but I just felt kind of a natural fit in there at the other church, the Lighthouse Community Church, and really special time. I went to a youth conference one time with them. Heard some speakers, had some really great time, saw some amazing things, people praying for each other in tongues and stuff like that, and people being healed and stuff like that, and just being like, whoa, my mind's blown. This is wild. This is crazy. What's going on? This has to be God. All these things like that, and just coming away with like, oh wow, well, I know this is true. I have to believe it. This is true. I know it's true. Feelings like that, and just, but not really in hindsight, not really a lot of I don't know. I did feel God's presence, but I didn't know a lot about the doctrine. I didn't know a lot about, and it's not necessarily necessary for you to know a lot of the doctrine sometimes of things, especially like when you're a teenager or something like that, or it just depends. It depends where you're at. Depends how old you are, depends on how mature you are, how spiritually mature or not you are. And so all this happened, and eventually I ended up meeting this girl at my job. We dated and fell in love and were serious and got a little bit too serious, if you know what I mean, before marriage. And eventually she was from out west, and I moved west with her and her family because they were moving back. And after 2 years of dating, moved west with her to Reno, Nevada, where some of her family lived, and settled down there. Got ourselves an apartment, got a job, everything like that, got our lives going, and eventually got married like a year or two later, and moved around a little bit there, got ourselves a house from a family friend, renting a house. Everything was great. Life was just great. Everything was like great, right? Everything was just the way it was supposed to be, right? And it was just like, no, it's just not, it's just not. It's just like, this is life. It's like, oh man, I miss so many things, and I don't even have the words to say it. I can't put it into words. I can't express. It's like, because I thought like, well, this is my choice I've made. I've gotten here. I decided to get married. We had sex before marriage, and I had to marry her because of that, basically. I have to. I mean, I had all these conclusions and thoughts, and we never really went to church once we moved out there. She was a Christian too, but we never found a church to go to together. So we weren't going to church. We were just living our lives, just work, home, family life. And it was boring, and it was lame. And I did love her, and we had a lot of good times together. We really did enjoy life together. We really did. But it just got to the point where it was feeling kind of lonely and lonesome, and like, I'm all the way out here, thousands of miles from my family, and you know, all these, just crazy. And I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have any friends, and I didn't really have very many friends. I had like 2 friends, and then the friends that I had, she hated one of them, and the other one was her young cousin. And so it was like, it wasn't appropriate for him to be my friend because he was too young, and I'm not being mature, and I need to have adult friends, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, he's the only one who lets me feel, he's the only one I feel comfortable enough around to feel like I can actually be myself. And that became my life, and it was hard. Feeling bottled up, feeling controlled, feeling like you gotta be a certain person all the time. Just not feeling like you can be yourself. And all the things, didn't really have any interest. And then when I finally started having interest, it was like, I feel like I have to take a long time to explain why I divorced her. But truly, it was just, I felt lonely, and it was sad. I felt alone. And I guess this is an important part of the story, because it kind of led into my departure from my faith and stuff, which I had already departed in a certain way. I mean, I wasn't fully departed, but we just weren't going to church, you know? Like, I wouldn't swear, I wouldn't do certain things, I didn't do drugs or didn't drink, really. I mean, I did when it was legal, didn't smoke cigarettes, all these things. So I lived a pretty Christian life for the most part, but just didn't go to church. And so it was like I had this like identity that was like stowed away. It was like put on the back burner. It was like put away somewhere. It was in a suitcase in the basement of someone else's house somewhere. That's how it felt. And I was like, oh, you know. And so things started changing. Anyway, long story short, I broke up with her, divorced her, made some pretty bad decisions. Not that was one of them, but got together with some people that I shouldn't have gotten together with. A girl who was way too young for me that I worked with, and stuff like that. Just the wrong kind of things to do, the wrong kinds of people to hang out with, the wrong kinds of mistakes, literally mistakes. And so I'm alone. I live in Reno. I'm making decisions that are mistakes. But at the same time, they were leading me out of oppression, basically. They're leading me into freedom. They were leading me into, they were my decisions to make. I was finally making my own decisions, was what it felt like. And they weren't the greatest, but they were mine, you know? So, and eventually just kind of went through a stage where I was like, well, you know what? I think I'm an agnostic. You know, I think I'm an atheist. And then, yeah, it started getting to the point where I was like, yeah, no, I know I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist, yeah. And then I'd start talking, me and this girl, we'd make fun of Christians. We'd make fun of abortion and everything. We thought it was hilarious. We thought, you know, all these kinds of things were just hilarious. We had no moral compass, basically. We did, but we didn't. We had it was very, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like, it was kind of lost. It was kind of lost in a way. And I started doing drugs. I did acid with a friend. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the most amazing thing ever. I can't believe that this is such a stigmatized thing that everyone says is so bad. This is not bad. This is not what everyone says it is. This is not what everyone acts and thinks like it is. It's something different. This is something different. This is actually, this is actually cool. This is actually cool, you know? That's how I felt. And met a good friend of mine, who I'm still really good friends with. He's literally an older brother to me. He lives out in California, and I smoked weed with him. And so I started changing, started smoking weed, started doing this, started doing that, started being like a psychonaut, exploring my I don't know, psyche and different things with drugs and stuff like that. Yeah. So things were going crazy, and I was like, well, I'm living out here. Been out here for a year now, living on my own, divorced, single, and had a girlfriend, and we played, you know, fooled around with this one, blah, 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 not making really good choices, but this is just where I was, you know, this is just par for my course at the time. This was like, it makes sense that I did these things because of what my life was, you know, at the time. And so, but I got to the point where I was like, you know, my brother, I really wish, I felt like I was in a place where I could do anything. I felt like I could do anything. I had a job. I was making enough money to afford my apartment. I was trying to be responsible. I was making progress, but not doing as good as I could. I was trying, but I was doing okay. I was kind of doing okay. I bought a new car, making payments on this car, you know, all this stuff. Had a lot of things going for me in certain ways, but I also felt kind of empty inside and kind of lost. But I had put I was very numb in a lot of ways as well. Did a lot of numbing myself to deal with the decisions I had made to cope with the loss of my wife, the divorce, and the decision to end it and break her heart, basically. All these things that I was dealing with, you know? But I got to the point where I was like, you know, I miss my dad and I miss my brother, and it'll be nice to be closer to them. I think I want to move back home. It just kind of came to me one day. I kind of want to move back home. And I shared that with my friend, and it was sad because he's like, dude, I'm going to miss you, man, but, I'm not going to tell you don't go. Because he's basically, he was so awesome. He was like the man. He was just like, I'm going to be your friend no matter what. So if this is what you want to do, that's what you should do. And so he was just so supportive, like that. I was like, thank you so much. And so I moved back home, and I was smoking weed still a lot. And my younger brother was, he was kind of starting to. I don't want to give too many personal details away about family members and stuff. But anyway, he decided to come out there with me and fly and drive. He flew out there with me to drive home with me, so I didn't have to drive the country back to the East Coast alone. And we did that and living wild and crazy, and got back home, moved in with my dad, whom I'd never lived with growing up, always lived with my mom, and was still smoking weed, and they didn't know it. They were just happy I was there, and I was happy I was there too, and I was happy about life and everything, but I was like, obviously I'm not going to tell you I'm smoking weed, because I'm just not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that because I'm just not going to tell you that. That's just how I felt. It's just I'm just not going to tell you that. But eventually they found out, and it was bad, and we got read the riot act, basically, because we were living there and doing that under their roof, and got into a lot of trouble, did a lot of things, got into a lot of things, moved in with my mom, worked a job, had a girlfriend, all this stuff, got into crystals a lot, got into the metaphysics, into the metaphysical and the universe and all these kinds of things, vibes and frequencies and things like that. Into that, and not into God, not into Christianity, not into Jesus, not into that at all. And got into a serious relationship with a girlfriend. It didn't work out, and then got involved with a woman older than me. I was like 26, 7, 8, and she was like 40. Not a good idea. Just not a good idea. And because it's like, well, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point of this? Why are you doing this? What's your end goal? What's your end game? Are you gonna marry her? Are you gonna live with her? Are you gonna live with her forever? What is this, your future? Is this your wife? And the answer to all those questions were obviously no. And then I had to start changing and start being like, well, I guess they are. I guess it is. So a lot of things changed, and I ended up staying with her, moving with her, living with her. She had kids, and not that that's bad, but it was just the wrong situation to be in. But it helped me in certain ways. She helped me grow in certain ways. And broke up with her and got involved, had some other bad relationships, got involved with another older lady who had even more kids, who was alcoholic and stuff like that, and abusive, and it was bad. And got the brunt of that, living with her far away from home again, in the same state, but 2.5 hours away. And things got really, really bad. I started realizing I was hitting rock bottom. Things were going really, really, really bad. And I kept thinking, like, well, it can't get any worse than this. And then it would get worse. And, you keep thinking, like, it can't get any worse. And then it gets worse. And you're like, oh. You're like, oh, okay. So I had kind of turned my back on God for a long time, and I was starting to realize I'd done everything and turned everywhere and I'd gone everywhere and done everything to I don't know. I felt like I tried everything besides God. I felt like, well, I already figured that out, that doesn't work, and that's a lie, and that all this is not true. I already figured that out. That's kind of what I felt like deep down. But also at the same time, I had this consciousness about it, and I was kind of like, I really have turned my back on God. I don't even want to talk to him. I don't even want to look at him. I don't want to look to him. I don't even want to think about him. I can't even think about him. I can't even think about him at all because, and it started occurring to me when things got really, really bad. It started occurring to me that he did exist and that he was real. Like, I was clear-minded enough. I had stopped smoking weed as much. I wasn't smoking as much as I was. And I could actually concentrate enough and realize to know. I had enough of an awareness to realize that, no, he's real. He actually is real. He does exist. And just felt like this shame and overwhelm and needed him so bad. And I felt so bad because I had done so much bad and just had consistently done so many things that I shouldn't have done. Made so many horrible decisions where I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. Couldn't recognize my life, who I was. I couldn't even. Who am I? Who am I at this point? That's what it was like. Who even am I? And so that was really hard. And so it was like that, And so I was just like, I gotta make a change. I'm sitting here. This is just absolute chaos. My girlfriend, aka my wife, I got married to her actually, and which is a crazy kind of freak thing. We just decided to get married out of the blue. It was a big mistake, but it was like we were both lost. We were just trying to do whatever we thought was right, and we were both crazy, and we just did whatever we felt was right. And so that was one of the things we thought was right, so that's what we did. And I'm sitting here going, okay, she's drunk and out of her mind. All this stuff is going on. I'm standing in the bathroom smoking a cigarette out the window, looking into the distance, breathing, trying to breathe, praying and like, please, God, help me, please. How did I get here? What's going on? How did I get here? Please help me. I did this to myself. I made all these decisions. This is my fault. I did this. This is my fault. I take responsibility for this because I'm the one who did this. I did this. This is my decision. I did this and I'm here. Please help me. I need you so much. I need help. I need to get out of here. I need help. I don't know what to do. Please help me. But at the same time, I had, all those, I don't want to say the term, I don't know if it's buyer's remorse. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but I felt like I had buyer's remorse. I felt like I had tried God and it didn't work. And so I had to try all these other things, and here I am. But I also felt along the way, I was didn't want to pay attention to this feeling, but it was a feeling that said, you're ignoring something, Justin, and you shouldn't. You should stop ignoring it. And so, I finally was just like, well, I can't admit, I didn't have it in me to admit that I was wrong and admit that, I really needed God and he was right and I was wrong and I had really screwed up. So in my own way, I made a deal with him. I was like, okay, God, I tried to play it cool, I'll make a deal with God, and I'm almost to the point of the LDS church. I'm getting there. We're almost there, guys. So apologies for the long story, but this is absolutely true here, all of this. And so there's power in truth. So I made a deal with God, and I was like, if I read my Bible, I know that God will lead me in the right place. I know he'll help me. I just know it. I know it. I was like, I don't want to talk to him. I'm too scared to talk to him. I'm too afraid to talk to him because I don't know what he's going to say to me, and I'm scared. He's going to yell at me. He's so angry with me. I know it. He's so angry with me. And I just, the situation I was in, these problems and everything, it was so bad. It was literally the devil was there. It was so horrible. It was terrifying, horrible, insanely frightening, insanely disturbing things happened to me. And I had hit rock bottom. My car got repossessed, and I was stuck with this, no offense to her, stuck with this woman who was crazy, basically. And but I was equally crazy because I thought that it was going to work and was trying to make it work, and it wasn't working, and it wasn't going to work. I couldn't make it work anymore. And I finally broke down, and I made my deal with God and said, I'm going to read the Bible, and it's gonna make my situation better. I know it will. It has to. I was like, because I was basically like, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Seriously. Like, and I hadn't like considered suicide or thought about that or anything like that, but I was like, that was kind of, I guess that might have been where I was heading to. Who knows? But it was just bad. And so I started reading my Bible, and things started getting better slowly but surely. And she started getting annoyed, and it started aggravating all the evil spirits that were around. Basically she started attacking me for reading the Bible. She's like, you're mocking me. I'm a Christian woman and you're mocking me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm literally trying to read the Bible. Can you please just let me read the Bible? I'm trying to read it. I'm honestly just trying. And she was like so angry at me. But anyway, I got out of that situation. It got better, and then it got worse. And when I say it got worse, it got really bad. But the thing that was different, but something had happened, and things were different. And that something that happened was God was on my side again, or at least I felt good about God. You know what I mean? And so he was always on my side. But when you ignore the things he says, he kind of says, okay, you know, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. You know, I don't want you to do it. He's so upset. He's so sad. Upset as in sad, not upset as in angry. You know, I mean, I guess he gets angry too, but he was on my side, so things were getting better, you know. And despite all these horrible things, I felt his presence, and I knew he was with me, and I knew that I had him, and knew that no matter what happened, and no matter how bad it got, I was going to get through it, and I was going to be okay, because he was with me. And he was, and I got through it. All these kinds of things, including what I thought was a pregnancy, preparing to be a dad, and then finding out there was no pregnancy, and there was a miscarriage, and she's drinking while she's pregnant, and she's yelling, and all this, throwing stuff out the window, all this kinds of stuff. Chaotic, like emotional trauma, psychological trauma, a lot of it, you know. But I was fine because I had God, and I had moved back. I had started moving back to my dad's and living with him again, and like getting away from all that craziness. So so I lived with him, and I started going to church, and a pastor really helped me. He was really there for me. He knew stuff was wrong, and he stayed and asked what was wrong. And it was like in all those situations where someone asks you what's going on, and you try to tell them, but they don't have the time, they don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to hear you. No, this guy had the bandwidth and the capacity to hear me. That's why he was there. He was there to hear me. He was there to help me. He was doing literally what God called him to do, which is amazing. And so he helped me so much. And I got out of that. Started going to church. Started going to that church. Started growing. Started taking in as much God as I could. Getting out of the bad, getting into the good. All this stuff. Reading books. Listening to this sermon, listening to this preacher, going to wherever the Spirit led me. That's where I was going. Here, there, everywhere, up and down, to the moon and back, everywhere. Listening to Hillsong songs, worshiping, singing, you know, worshiping God, praying to him, you know, praying for him, growing and starting to grow and change, and feeling like, wow, things are actually changing in my life. I am changing, I'm growing, and started feeling like, wow, I'm getting parts of me back that I haven't had in years, 10 years plus. Like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. I'm like, I'm saved. I can't believe this is coming back to me. God is coming back to me, you know, feeling. But it was like, I'm coming back to God. That's the difference. I'm coming back to God. That's the difference. Duh, didn't you think that why didn't you think this would happen? You've known this all along, kind of thing. And so started growing in this little church. But then I was like, I'm growing, I'm moving. I feel like everyone is, for the most part, staying the same, and everyone there was older, and I was young, and there wasn't anyone my age. So felt called to another church, went there, things didn't work out, had some bad experiences with the pastor, and it really set me back and made me go, what the frick, dude, this is not how, dude, you're the pastor. Like, I was like, dude, you're the pastor, like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You're just not. You can't badmouth people like that. Why, like, what the heck? This was so crazy. The thing that he basically badmouthed people in his congregation to me behind their backs, and it just kind of blew me away. I was like, you're supposed to be the pastor. It totally blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And I needed to leave that church. So I left that church, went to another church, and it was all good. Everything was great. Still trying to go to Sunday school, go to Wednesday night prayer, Bible study, everything, and trying to grow. It's like, this is where I think I'm supposed to be, right? I think I'm supposed to be here. And not growing, nothing's changing, nothing's happening. I'm like, what's going on? I don't really feel like I'm supposed to be here. I don't really feel the Spirit anymore. I don't feel like things are going the way they're supposed to go, blah, blah, blah. And then one day, I just had faith, I just had faith that it was all working out. And it did. But that included me leaving that church. And one day the pastor he starts railing on all the different beliefs. He starts railing on Catholics, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and everything. And he starts talking about how they're all going to hell. And I'm like, what? I was like, what? Are you kidding me? They're going to hell? I was just like, I couldn't help it. It swelled up inside me, and I was just like, dog, that's not even true. I was like, that's not even true, dude. What? I was like, what? I didn't say these things, but this is what I was feeling. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, dude, you're insane. First of all, you don't even know what you're talking about. That's not even true. Second of all, you're gonna stand here and tell everybody this stuff, and we're all supposed to be here like, that's right. I was just like, what? I was just like, no, that's not true. Like, no, that's not true. I don't know why I know this, but that's not true. That's absolutely not true. It just blew me away. And I had this realization. I had this consciousness, this recognition. I was saying, that's not true. I don't know why it's not true, but I know that it's not true. I know that that's not true. Because it's not true. It's not true. It's not true like that, And yeah, it's just not true. And I was just like, that's pretty crazy. And I remember thinking, like, what did the Mormons do to you, dude? I was like, what did the Mormons ever do to you? And I was like, I have at this point in my whole life, no contact with any Mormons, really. Like, I knew a few that I worked with in Reno. Never really got into it. I just kind of thought they were silly. Kind of like, I totally was just like, psh. I was just kind of like, psh. Get out of here. Get out of here with that nonsense. You don't even know. You think you're a Christian. You're not even a Christian. You think you're a Christian, but you're not even a Christian, That's how I felt at the time. Didn't go any further than that. So this is how much Mormonism is on my spectrum. That much. Till this moment, And I'm thinking, like, what? And it's just, nothing happened after that. I just kind of, like, was like, okay, that's just crazy. It's like, that was my moment that I recognized, like, that's not right. That's not true. I just felt it, like, in my spirit. Just the Spirit said, that's not true. And I was like, yeah, that's right. It's not true. That is absolutely not true. That's just not true. Not true. Not true. Not true, dude. And you're the pastor. You're supposed to know, and you're the one teaching us all, and we're supposed to believe you. But you're telling us something that's not true. Seriously? So anyway, that was my point. I was just like, oh man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I can't go here anymore. I guess I don't know what to do. I'm like, I'm so deflated and defeated from going to church now. I feel like, where the frick am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to go? I've been here, I've been there, I've been everywhere. Been all over the square. I went to a Catholic church with my cousin too, to check it out, just to see, I had to try it, had to see, and it wasn't. So that was fine. I just went somewhere else. I was like, okay, I tried it, that's cool, okay. This isn't where God wants me, or this isn't the true church. I didn't even have that context yet to know that I didn't even know there was a true church. Didn't even have a concept for that concept that there's a true church. What? There's a true church? What do you mean there's a true church? You mean there's one church out of all the churches that's true? That means all the other churches are wrong. You mean all the other churches are wrong and there's one church that's true? What? Mind blown. Mind completely blown, Had no concept for any of that yet, right? So, had no concept at all. So in the dilemma of me being like, just feeling defeated, feeling deflated, feeling like giving up again, feeling like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so done. This is so lame. I'm so tired. And no one was on my same page. No one was on my same level. No one around me was on the same level as me, if you know what I mean, with like my faith or with my pursuit of God and things like that. No one, I was doing this alone, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm the one trying to figure this stuff out. I'm the one trying to figure this stuff out. I have to figure this out. I have to figure this out. And everyone around me is, I'm like, I feel zealous for God. I want to know more about him. I want to know more about him. I want to know more about him. And I looked around and everyone else, and I'm like, how about you guys? Don't you guys want to do this? And I'm looking around, it's like crickets everywhere. Everywhere I go, crickets, crickets, crickets. For the most part. Just never had anyone with me like that on my team. You know what I mean? Not really. And so a little bit of time passes, a week or so, or 2 weeks or something like that, or a day or two, or a few days. I don't know, something like that. A week or 2 or 3 days or 4 days, something like that. Some time period like that. And I'm on Facebook, and I'm in this group called Men of God on Facebook. And I always get to this point in my testimony, whenever I make a long testimony video, because I tell the whole story up into this point, and then I get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I need to do part 2 now. But I just, maybe that'll be my 3-hour video. I don't know. We'll figure this all out, because I always get to this point where I tell this story first, but then like the rest of it where I'm like in the church is like the next part. I never really get to much of that part. But I am. I'm getting there. It's just a lot to get this out. It's a lot to process and all, you know. So anyway, I'm in this group on Facebook called Men of God. Just all these different denominations. Everybody in there. Everybody under their brother. It's not a specific church. It's everybody. Everybody and their brother. And I've got about half an hour left, guys. We'll see how long this goes. But let me get some water real quick. But I need to charge my phone too, in case this sucker lights up on low power display. It's gonna be all over. End the video right in the middle of it. Can't have that happen. No. So I'm in this Men of God group, right? And I'm commenting on a thing and saying something, and then someone says something to me. I think they said something to me in the post. They may have said something to me in the post, but that's not the important part. The important part is they messaged me, and they were missionaries. They were missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they messaged me, and I had never, like I said, like I've told you guys through this video, I have had no interaction with any Mormons, Latter-day Saints at all, no contact with anyone in the church that I knew of, nothing, no connections to the church at all, nothing, wasn't looking for it. Actually, I was looking for it without knowing I was looking for it. See what I'm saying? I was trying to find the right church, trying to find a true church without knowing there was a true church. I feel like I kind of have to sneeze again. But it says missionary messages me. And he's not saying very much. I mean, he's like, you know what I mean? He wasn't like, hey, Justin, I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We believe in the Book of Mormon. Would you like a copy or something like that? He wasn't like, and that of course wouldn't really work. That doesn't really, I don't know. I don't want to say that doesn't work, but that's not how that went. Sorry. He just literally says, hey, Justin, how's it going? And I was like, dude, I could feel the Spirit. So the Spirit came through him, out of him, into his fingers, into the phone, through the internet, into my phone, onto my screen, into those words, and into my eyes, and into my body, and into my spirit, and said, what is going on? What is this? What is this? This is the Spirit. That's what that is. But I had no understanding. I had no context. And it was like, what the frick? What is going on here? I feel like, I just felt so stumped. I was just like, what is going on? What is going on? I was like, tell me, what is going on? This is crazy. This is so crazy. What is this? What is going on? I feel the freaking Spirit, but I have no context. I can't put into words what I'm feeling. I can't explain it. What is this? This is insane. What the frick is going on? He literally just said, hey, how are you? And I'm feeling like, what the frick is going on here? Something's going on. That's how much of the Spirit I could feel. And I was so confused because I never have felt it that much before. I couldn't comprehend. I could not comprehend what was happening. I couldn't comprehend what's happening. And so, well, what do you do in that situation? Well, you should probably start by writing back. That's what I thought. So I just wrote him back, and then eventually found out he was a missionary. And he was like, we chatted, had a little exchange back and forth. And I started feeling like, okay, he's from this church. He's probably going to start telling me about this church. He's probably going to ask me to come to it. He's probably going to try to tell me about it. He's probably going to get me to try to come. And I'm just like, this is the Book of Mormon. I'm like, oh, man. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. I was like, I kind of feel like that's a stretch. I was like, that's a stretch. I was like, I don't know about this. But I was so close with God. I was like this with God every day, reading my Bible every day. So freaking close with God. Left a job with my dad, and like just all these kinds of situations was like trying to be as obedient to God as possible, following him as close as possible, doing exactly what I could do. Whatever I thought he wanted me to do, I was like, that's what I have to do. I have to do it. No matter what it is, I have to do it. And so that's what I would do. And so I was like, so then I would, all this stuff was happening, and then I would go to ask God. I'd be like, I felt really kind of silly, because I was basically like, man, this guy in the Book of Mormon, he's talking to me about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's a Mormon. But I was like, well, why doesn't this feel bad? If he's a Mormon, then why doesn't this feel bad? Why does this all seem so? I was like, why doesn't this seem wrong? Why doesn't this feel wrong? Literally, why doesn't this seem wrong? If it's Mormon, it's supposed to be wrong. Mormons are wrong. Mormons don't know what they're talking about. They're another religion. They don't know. They worship the false Jesus. They worship blah blah blah. They're all this kind of stuff, So, and then I'm literally like, I go to turn around. This is like basically me. I'm basically like, I'm talking to these Mormons now. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, let me go check with God. I need to go check with God to see what he says about this. Okay, so I'm basically like, look around. Hey God, like look behind me, like, hey God, so like, what am I supposed to do now? Basically, I was like, is this legit? I was just like, is this legit? And the whole time, but everything was so, and you might be able to feel the Spirit now. I don't know if you can feel the Spirit right now. I so hope you can. But everything about everything was just like, it was just like, he didn't say this, but it's basically like this. He's like, silly Justin, don't you know? I was like, no, what? He's just like, kind of like smiling at me, like kind of laughing a little bit, just like kind of smiling, shaking his head a little bit, God. And I'm just like, oh, I gotta find out if this is the right thing. I was struggling because I'm like, what the heck? He's telling me that, they're telling me this. They weren't being pushy at all. They were just matter of fact, we're just talking to you like normal. I'm just a dude and I'm just talking to you. And yeah, I've got some excitement because I love God and I want to share the message about Jesus Christ and everything. And I'm just like, I was just like, what the frick is going on? What is going on, And they're like, well, we can tell you, we testify to you that if you read the Book of Mormon and you pray to know it's true, that God will manifest the answer to you, and you will get an answer, and you will know. If you pray to know that's true, you will get an answer. And they would give me they would share their testimonies with me, and they'd say, I know. I've read the Book of Mormon and I've prayed about it, and I prayed to know if it was true, and got that answer for myself. And and I'm sitting here going, and then it started kicking in. The more I started listening to them, then this started kicking in, and all you investigators out there, and a lot of anti-Mormons, a lot of people recognize this and they know this, and even people in the church know this. And this isn't necessarily bad, but this is where. It's like I was trying to run so hard. I was like, please help me. I don't want to do this. I'm too scared. I don't want to do this. I'm too scared, And so I started going, well, I'm 32, I'm 33 or whatever. You guys are like young teenagers. I'm just like, I'm just gonna talk to you guys like, we're equals, we're on the same level, equal respect and all. But you guys, I started thinking this way. I started thinking like, well, you guys are a lot younger than me. You guys don't even really know that much about the world. You guys are inexperienced, blah blah blah. You guys don't know what you're talking about, really. And when I started doing that, I started feeling God less. I started feeling that spirit less. And I was like, and then I kind of started feeling dumb. I kind of started feeling like, I don't think I should do that. And because then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? These guys have a testimony that they're sharing with me. And yeah, they might be younger than me, and they might be from out west, and they might be doing their own thing, and who knows what they're like and how they love life and how they do life and live life and everything. It's all different and stuff. But I was just sitting here thinking like, I couldn't help but feel like these guys know. They just know. And everything, the spirit that was swelling, that was surrounding me, was telling me, this is what you need to do, Justin. This is what you need to do. I've been preparing you for this. I have been preparing for you for this, and you have been preparing for this. You're ready. You've arrived. Here you are. It was basically like, guess what, Justin? You made it. You've been running so hard. You've been fighting so hard for so long, and you made it. You're here. You finally got here. Despite all your struggles, despite everything, you finally got here. I was like, overwhelmed. Completely overwhelmed. And I had to break it down to meat and potatoes and just say, and I had had video calls with them and talked to them and stuff. And they told me a little bit more about the Book of Mormon. I talked to them about what I believed. They were telling me about what they believed, and I was telling them about what I believed and stuff. And I was really struggling to tell them what I believed. It was really hard to put into words. And then I realized how unformed it all was, really. Like, I had beliefs, but it was hard to put into words. But I had to boil it all down and get to the point where I was just like, you know what? I need to get as simple as I can get. I need to just ask God. I have to ask God if the Book of Mormon is true. I have to ask him if it's true. And then I felt kind of silly for that, because I was like, I know it's true. I know it's true. I just know it's true. I don't know how I know it, but I know it's true. I just know it's true. I'm like, why don't you? I know it's true, but you still need to ask, right? And I didn't fight it. I was like, okay, I need to ask. Okay. So it's like, God. And I remember this very specifically, praying in privacy, praying in private at my house with my mom, and just praying and being like, God, like, is this true? Is this right? Am I supposed to do this? Am I going in the right direction? Like, I don't want to go in this direction unless this is where you want me to go. The only reason I want to do this is because it's what you want me to do. I want to do it because it's right, and I want to do it because it's what you want me to do. So, am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? It's like he had already answered me. He already told me. He already showed me. And I already knew. But I still had to ask. Still had to just double check, because I wasn't sure. I was kind of concerned. But I had to find out. And I asked him. And I got an answer. The answer I got from him was also a visual of him. And in a way, I couldn't totally see him. I couldn't make out his face completely, in a way. It's hard to explain because it was more spiritual than it was a physical thing to see. Even though I was seeing it with my mind when I was praying, I could see it with my mind. I could feel it. I could feel it and see it at the same time. It was him. It was God. At the time, I didn't necessarily know that Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, I didn't know there were two separate beings like that. I still had all kinds of crazy beliefs about the Trinity and stuff, But it was God, aka Jesus, aka who I thought God was. God, real God, like God, okay? And he's looking at me, and he's just like this. His hands crossed in front of him. He looks at me, and he smiles, and he's just like, to all my questions, just like, yes, like, yes. In like the most calm, warm, peaceful, loving possible way. Just, yes. And he was also kind of doing this. He was kind of like saying, like, he's basically saying, like, you're doing so good. You're doing so good. He's just like, just keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. You're going the right way. He's like, you're doing the right thing. You're doing it. You're doing it. Keep doing it. He's like, you're doing it. Just keep. He's like, you're doing it. You're doing it. It's like you're walking on water. It's like, I'm on the water right now. He's like, yes, you are. You are. Keep going. Keep going. You're on the water. Keep walking. Keep going. Keep going. I'm right here with you. I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to leave you. But you have to take the steps. You have to do it. You have to do it. And I was like, all right, okay. And so I kind of kept going with the conversations with the missionaries. And they were like, kind of had like a couple video calls here and there over a few days. And they were like, Justin, we want to challenge you, Justin. The challenge for you. We want to challenge you to get baptized on May 1st. And I was like, oh. It was like, this was like late March into April. We had, at this point, I was like, oh. I was like, and at the time in my mind, I was like, oh, that's so close. I was like, oh man, that's so soon. I was so scared. I was like, oh, it's so soon. I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I was like, I don't want to do it. I'm scared. It's too soon. And then I thought, I was like, you know what? I was like, literally, I was like, if this is the right thing, and this is what I need to do, then why, literally, realistically, like, why do I want to spend any time sitting around thinking about it, waiting? It's like, if this is the right thing to do, then why aren't I doing it? Why, if this is the right thing to do, then why wouldn't I do it right now? Why not? Why not do this? This is what I need to do. I need to do this. I know I need to do this. So what is this going to benefit me by saying, well, actually, you know what? I think I kind of want to do it in June instead. I kind of want to push back and do it in June, you know? It's like, no. I was like, no. You know why? Because if I do that, it's pushing it back, create more space and division between me and God and what I know is right and what I need to do and where I need to be and all that. So, and I could see it. I'm like, if you do that, Justin, you're pushing them away and you're opening up so much room for all this other stuff, all this other crap to come into your life that you don't need in your life. So why don't you just stick to this right now? And why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it, Justin? Just do it. Just do it. And I was like, okay. That's why I told them, okay. You know, and they're like, all right, awesome, great. And they're like, that's so wonderful. We're so happy to hear that. You know, this is wonderful. And, you know, they share their testimony about baptism, and they put me in contact with my local missionaries, who I didn't even know. I was like, local missionaries? Are like, what the heck? I got local missionaries? I was like, well, if it's a worldwide church, I guess there probably is one around me somewhere. I've never known where it was, ever. Like, have no idea where it is. So, like, it's in Kent Island. I was like, it's in Kent Island? I was like, okay, that's the closest one. I was like, wow. I was like, as soon as they said that, I was like, I feel it. I knew it, and I could feel it. I knew where it was. I could feel it. I was like, okay, I know that's true. They're like, yeah. So we gotta get you a Book of Mormon, Justin. So we're gonna put you in contact with your local missionaries. And so Elder Davis and Elder Mott, I will continue this video. I will make a part 2 because I have to. But these young men who serve the Lord, they helped me get baptized, and I got baptized. And it's not, I mean, obviously, like, life is crazy. Life's not an easy road, but the secret is, and the trick is, when you follow God and you commit to Him and you follow His commandments as best as you can and stay as close to Him as you can, things change and you get saved from a lot of stuff that will cause problems for you, bring you down, hold you back, all these other things. And so it's continually, it's just like they've said, and just like I've known for a while and said and believed for a while. I've been a member for 4 years now. 4? Is it 4 years? 2021 to 22 to 23 to 24 to 25. Almost 4 years. Almost 4 years. Be 4 years in May. Woo, freaking who! So much has happened. Oh my gosh, it's insane. It's so insane. How much has happened in 4 years? What? Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Such amazingness. So crazy. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing things. That's what happens. But you have to make that decision every day. You have to make that decision. Are you going to follow God or not? In other words, are you going to stay on the covenant path or not? Are you going to do this or not? And then, whatever your answer is, and then whatever you do, determines everything. So, and when you mess up, you repent. You say you're sorry. And you ask for forgiveness. And He makes it better. Because when you repent and you mean it, and really try to do different, try to do better, He forgives you. You feel it. I felt it again and again and again. But yeah, I will tell you so much more about this, you guys, but I will tell you, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the true church. It is God's true church. There is a true church, first of all. And all the other churches are great, but you will never find what you will find in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in any of those other churches. You won't, because it doesn't exist in those churches. And what that is, as you've probably heard this term before if you talk to the missionaries or have any knowledge about the church, the fullness of the gospel. All the other churches don't have the fullness of the gospel. And they're great, they're lovely, they're filled with wonderful people who have faith and they have the Holy Spirit, and God is in those churches, and God is moving in those churches, and God is doing amazing things in those churches, but He's basically only doing it in the context of those churches, in the context of what they understand and so forth and so on. But it's different in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because this is His church. This is His church. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can go to church, go to any church you want, and that'll be great, but don't you want to go to His church? Don't you want to go to God's church? Like, you could go to any church in the world. Which church would you go to? Would you rather go to any church, or would you rather go to His church? And so, that, I mean, and I know this, like I shared with you before, with like talking with them, the experiences I've had, the Spirit. I've had so many other experiences along the way, growing experiences, lessons, shedding. I had an experience where I was praying where all these layers were peeling off my head, and there were layers of unbelief. I remember at the time and being like, man, people are going to think I'm crazy when I tell them this story because it sounds so crazy, but I'm like, this is actually happening right now. This is true. This is really happening right now. And it's amazing. But so many things have happened. I've gone to the temple. I've gotten my endowment. I've done baptisms for the dead. I've done sealings for people. Endowments. I've done so many different things. Held multiple church callings, a few different church callings, 3 different church callings so far, and 3 or 4, and it's just, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Like, and I'm at this point where I'm like, dude, if I didn't know this, if I didn't have this, I would be so screwed. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be as bad, because it wouldn't be that bad because God is there. You know what I mean? He loves us. But if you want, it's like, I so don't want to reduce this. It's such a bad analogy. But it's like, what do you say? It's like, okay, you know the computer software you get, sorry about this analogy. I'm so sorry about this analogy. But like the computer software you get for like antivirus and stuff back in the day, you have to buy like McAfee antivirus. It's like, okay, you go to say, okay, we need to get antivirus for my computer because my computer is getting viruses. I have to be safe. I have to keep it safe. So you go to buy it, and it's like, okay, do you want the standard version? It's like, first of all, it's like, do you want the free version? Do you want the standard version? Do you want the advanced? Do you want the premium? Or do you want the advanced premium? You know, it's like, it's just, my point is like, do you want the real thing or not? Do you want the cheap version or do you want the real version? I don't know about you guys, but something that's resonated with me for a long time is I want the truth. Since I was a kid, I want the truth. I grew up watching X-Files, right? The truth is out there. Like, no, all jokes aside, like, the truth is out there. The truth really is out there. And you really can know it. And you can really find it. So what do you want to do? Do you want it or not? Do you want to find it or not, you know? So, these things are absolutely true. This is all true. Everything I've told you is true. The Book of Mormon is true. The Doctrine and Covenants are true. Joseph Smith, yes. Joseph Smith really was a prophet. Yes, he really did. He really did restore the church by doing the things God wanted him to do. Yes, temples are on the earth again. And yes, they are valid. Yes, they're not just mankind doing whatever they think they should do to get closer to God. We're not just making little temples so we can get close to God. No. This is what God wants us to do. I gotta get going, you guys. But this is what God wants us to do. These things are true. The gospel has been restored. The true gospel. The apostasy happened after Jesus died and was resurrected and his apostles died. His true church fell away. And most people say, well, the Bible says the gates of hell will never prevail against his church. It's absolutely true. The gates of hell will never prevail against his church. But just because the apostasy happened doesn't mean that the gates of hell prevailed against his church. They didn't prevail against his church. His church fell away on earth. But it's been restored. Everything, all parts of it, everything. Prophets, apostles, everything. Modern revelation, scriptures, ordinances, everything. The authority, everything. So, talk to the missionaries. Get in touch with them. I'll make another video here. It might not be necessary. But I'll make another video and talk more about like where, you know, how things have been since joining the church, what's happened, my experiences with the missionaries, all of those things, you know. But yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ is true. The Book of Mormon is true. This is God's true church. So join it. I beg you, I plead with you, join it. Find out for yourself. Find out for yourself. I did. And it's changed my life. I am so thankful that I did. I would give, you know, I can't put a price on how important this is. And how important it is to me and how thankful I am for it. So thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. And I say all of this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.